Our hope is that we will recover from this disaster with the least loss of life.
CNN's Jomana Korechi has more now from Istanbul.
A young man trapped, desperation in his eyes. Then in the pre-dawn darkness, a moment of joy. Rescuers haul him from the wreckage of a building in southern Turkey. As the morning sun rises, all many others can do is pray.
We'll see what happened to those living on the ground floors. May God give us a speedy recovery.
This was a residential building full of families asleep in their homes when the massive earthquake struck just before daybreak.
I was sleeping when my wife suddenly woke me up. The quake was very severe, very scary. It took almost 2 minutes until the shaking stopped.
We can't yet know how many people could be trapped in a building like this, in wrecked homes like this across Turkey, and into neighboring Syria. More buildings brought down, a toddler found. The white helmets have done this before. Heroes of the Syrian civil war now pulling people out from under a very different disaster. So many in rebel-held northern Syria had very little yesterday. People will be left with nothing today. In Turkey, too, foreign help will be needed. The government in Ankara has asked its neighbors to come to its aid. The search and rescue will stretch on for days. Hope will remain for as long as possible. Jomana Korechi, CNN, Istanbul.
And CNN's Scott McLean is following developments from London. Scott, look, lots of moving parts here. As we said, the death toll, 1,800, 1,900 expected to rise. What more are you learning?
Yeah, there's information coming in fast and furious because you're right, the death toll is expected to rise because consider this sobering statistic, Rahel. You have President Erdogan who said that there were more than 2,800 buildings in Turkey that have been damaged in these series of earthquakes, the earthquake and then the series of very, very strong aftershocks. And obviously rescue efforts are underway. You've seen some people pulled out already, but remember the conditions that they're working in. It's extremely cold. It's near freezing. It's snowing in some areas as well. And so it is very difficult to pull people out alive given the conditions that they've been trying to survive through for now more than 12 hours. They are also dealing with the risk of tremors or earthquakes. There was one about 3.5 hours ago that technically is considered an aftershock, but in any other circumstances, this would be a pretty monumental earthquake on its own. It is even stronger at 7.5 magnitude than the earthquake they had back in 1999 in northwestern Turkey that killed some 17,000 people and left about 500,000 people homeless. I just want to show you a piece of video. This is from the city, a small city of Malatya. And this comes from a local reporter for a station called A News when the shaking started a few hours ago. Listen.
Güvenli alana geçiyoruz bizler şu anda. Vatandaşları görüyorsunuz. Deprem oluyor gene. Sakin ol. Arkadaşlar. Evet şu an Kaz'da arama kurtarma çalışmalarına doğru giderken iki defa yüksek.
So I'll just translate what he's saying here. He said as we were heading into the rubble to film search and rescue efforts, there were 2 consecutive aftershocks with a loud noise, and the building you're seeing on my left was brought down to earth. There's a lot of dust. A local resident is coming, and he is covered in dust. There he is there. So a huge number of people live in this part of the country. The most populated city closest to the epicenter is Gaziantep. This has 2 million people. That's where we're seeing the highest death tolls, but they also have the most resources there. And so it's possible that as rescue crews make their way into the more small towns and villages, that they may discover that there are fewer rescue resources there. And again, the death toll may rise yet still. They are also trying hard, Rahel, to try to get mobile connectivity to some of these areas, electricity back on. The gas has been shut off for obvious reasons so that there's not fires starting amidst all of these aftershocks. After that 1999 earthquake, Turkey started to take really seriously the idea of beefing up building codes. And so buildings that did not meet code, there was efforts to try to tear them down and rebuild them. But obviously this is a slow process that could not happen overnight. And so I think we're finding out today which of those buildings are up to code and which ones are not. Obviously, there is aid coming into the country as well, many countries pledging it, but surely it cannot come soon enough given the staggering numbers of victims, and President Erdogan saying, frankly, they don't know how many people may yet be trapped underneath. But it is a very different story in Turkey. But obviously, while they have been working to beef up building codes overnight, and so I think we're finding out the standards in those buildings in that country and decimated the infrastructure there. And obviously, there is aid coming into the country as well. Many countries pledging it, but surely it cannot come soon enough given the in Damascus, staggering numbers of victims, the rebel-held Erdogan saying, frankly, they don't know how many people may yet be trapped one another underneath. But it is very unlikely that there's going to be, while they have been working on aid coming in, building Damascus and so northwestern Syria, when the rebel-held areas, they are not country and decimated aid infrastructure there. Those areas, because we're already seeing pictures of hospitals well that are absolutely pledging it, but surely it cannot come soon enough. Numbers that we have from northwestern Syria, numbers of victims that rebel-held areas, more than 130 buildings coming in, may yet be trapped one another underneath, but it is very unlikely that are damaged in some ways, and obviously coming in, we know Damascus and so northwestern Syria, when the rebel-held areas change, not country and decimated aid infrastructure there, and so we're already seeing pictures of hospitals that are absolutely.
I want to turn now to CNN
numbers that we have in Damascus, numbers of victims that rebel-held areas, more than 130 buildings coming in, may yet be trapped one another underneath, but it is very unlikely that are damaged in some ways, and obviously coming in, we know Damascus and so northwestern Syria, when the standards there are decimated aid infrastructure those areas, so we're already seeing pictures there that are absolutely.
I want to turn now to CNN
numbers we have in Damascus,
I want to turn now to CNN Tens of thousands of and now